Picture this. You're staring at a faded 1920s census record, and Great Aunt Martha's occupation is listed as something that looks like seamstrunk or maybe seamstalk. You squinted at it for 20 minutes, and you're no closer to figuring out what she actually did for a living. Now, imagine having a research partner who never gets tired, never gets frustrated, and can help you decode that mystery in under 2 minutes. That's exactly what happened to me last week using ChatGPT's brand new features, and by the end of today's episode, you're going to know exactly how to make ChatGPT your most valuable genealogy research partner. Welcome back to Ancestors and Algorithms, where family history meets artificial intelligence. I'm your host, Brian, and today we're diving deep into ChatGPT, the AI tool that's probably sitting in your bookmarks bar, but maybe isn't working as hard for your genealogy research as it could be. We're covering everything from absolute basics for those who've never typed a single prompt, all the way to advanced techniques using features that literally launched this week. Stick around because I've got some ChatGPT secrets that are going to transform how you approach your family history research. So let me tell you about Sarah, not a real person, but a composite of about 12 different research challenges I've encountered. Sarah is trying to research her great-great-grandfather, Heinrich Müller, who immigrated from Germany in the 1880s. She's got his name, she's got a rough idea of where he arrived, but that's about it. Sound familiar? Sarah's been poking around Ancestry and Family Search for months. She's found 3 different Heinrich Müllers in the right time period, but she can't figure out which one is hers. The handwriting on the ship manifest is practically illegible, and she's starting to wonder if she'll ever crack this particular brick wall. Here's where it gets interesting. Sarah discovers ChatGPT and thinks, well, maybe I'll ask it about German immigration patterns. But she makes the classic mistake. She types in, quote, "Tell me about German immigration to America," end quote, and gets back a Wikipedia-style essay that doesn't help her specific research one bit. Sound like something you might have tried? But here's what Sarah learned and what we're going to explore today. ChatGPT isn't a search engine, and it's not a magic genealogy database that's going to spit out your ancestor's birth certificate. What ChatGPT excels at is being your thinking partner, your research strategist, and your creative problem solver. And this brings us to our golden rule that I want you to remember throughout today's episode. AI is your research assistant, not your researcher. Sarah's breakthrough came when she stopped asking ChatGPT to find facts for her and started asking it to help her think through problems. Instead of, quote, "Tell me about Heinrich Müller," end quote, she started asking things like, quote, "I have 3 Heinrich Müllers who immigrated from Germany in the 1880s. Help me develop a strategy to distinguish between them using available records," end quote. That's when the magic started happening. All right, let's start at the very beginning. If you've never used ChatGPT before, don't worry. We're going to get you up and running in the next few minutes. First things first, you can use ChatGPT for free at chatgpt.com. The free version is actually quite powerful for genealogy work, though the paid version has some features we'll talk about later that are absolutely game-changing. Creating an account takes about 2 minutes. You'll need an email address, and that's pretty much it. Once you're in, you'll see a simple chat interface. Think of it like texting with a very knowledgeable friend who happens to know a lot about research strategies. Now, here's your first lesson in genealogy prompting. Be specific about what you want ChatGPT to help you do, not what you want it to know. Let me give you some examples. Bad prompt, quote, tell me about Irish genealogy, end quote. Good prompt, quote, I'm researching my Irish ancestors who immigrated in the 1840s. Help me create a research plan to find immigration records and identify their country of origin, end quote. See the difference? The first one will get you a textbook chapter. The second one will get you actionable steps. Let's practice with some beginner-friendly prompts you can try right now. Quote, I found my ancestor listed as cordwainer on the 1900 census. What did cordwainers do, and what other records might mention this occupation? End quote. Quote, my great-grandmother was born in 1895, but I can't find her birth certificate. What alternative records from that time period might contain birth information? End quote. Quote, I have a family story that my ancestor fought in the Civil War, but I don't know which side or which unit. Create a step-by-step research plan to verify this and find military records, end quote. Notice how each of these prompts have three things: a specific piece of information you have, a clear question about what you want to understand, and an implied request for actionable next steps. ChatGPT excels at several things that are incredibly useful for family history research. First, it's fantastic at historical context. If you find your ancestor listed as a hostler or a wagon-wright, ChatGPT can explain not just what those jobs were, but what daily life might have looked like for someone in that profession. Second, it's excellent at research strategy. Stuck on a brick wall? ChatGPT can help you brainstorm alternative record types, suggest different research strategies, or help you think through the historical context that might explain why certain records are missing. Third, it's brilliant at organizing information. Got a mess of census records, death certificates, and family stories that don't quite add up? ChatGPT can help you create timelines, spot inconsistencies, and develop theories about what might be happening. But let's be clear about what ChatGPT cannot do for your genealogy research. It cannot search genealogy databases for you. It cannot access Ancestry, Family Search, or any other subscription services. It cannot find new records that you haven't already discovered. Think of ChatGPT as the world's most patient research librarian, not as a search engine. It can help you understand what you found, suggest where to look next, and help you organize your findings, but you're still doing the actual record hunting. Now that you've got the basics down, let's talk about some features that will transform ChatGPT from a helpful tool into an indispensable research partner. These are features that genealogists are using right now to dramatically improve their research efficiency. One of the most powerful features that genealogists often overlook is custom instructions. This feature, which got a major redesign just this year, allows you to teach ChatGPT exactly how you want it to respond to your genealogy questions. Here's how it works. You go into your ChatGPT settings and set up instructions that apply to every conversation. For genealogy, you might write something like, quote, I am a genealogy researcher. When I ask questions, please always provide specific, actionable research suggestions. Explain any genealogical terms you use. Organize your responses with clear headings like research strategy, records to search, and next steps. Always remind me to verify any information with primary sources, end quote. Once you set this up, every conversation with ChatGPT becomes more focused and useful for your family history work. It's like having a research assistant who knows exactly how you like to work. Now, let's talk about projects. This is where ChatGPT gets really powerful for genealogy work. Think of projects as digital file folders where you can keep all your research on a specific family line organized in one place. Let's say you're researching the Mueller family line we talked about earlier. You create a Mueller family research project. In this project, you can upload documents, census records, ship manifests, death certificates, and then have conversations with ChatGPT that reference all of that information. Here's what makes this incredible. ChatGPT remembers everything in your project. You can come back 3 weeks later, add a new document, and pick up exactly where you left off. No more re-explaining your research to ChatGPT every time you start a new conversation. Let me walk you through setting up a genealogy project. You click New Project, give it a name like Smith Family-Pennsylvania Line, and then you start uploading relevant documents. ChatGPT can read PDFs, images of documents, spreadsheets, pretty much anything you've got. Once your documents are uploaded, you can have conversations like, quote, based on all the documents in this project, create a timeline for John Smith's life from birth to death, end quote. Or, quote, I just uploaded a new marriage record. How does this change our understanding of the Smith family structure, end quote. The really powerful part is that ChatGPT can spot patterns and inconsistencies across all your documents. It might notice that a death certificate lists a different birth year than you found on census records, or identify potential research directions you hadn't considered. Here's a real-world example of how powerful this can be. Let's say you've got 5 different census records for the same family, a couple of marriage certificates, and some death records all uploaded to your project. You can ask ChatGPT, quote, analyze all the documents in this project and identify any inconsistencies in dates, names, or locations. Create a table showing how each person's information changes across different records, end quote. ChatGPT will go through everything and create a detailed analysis that might take you hours to do manually. It might notice that Mary's birth year shifts by 2 years between different censuses, or that a family moved between specific census years. All right, now we're getting into the really exciting stuff. Features that are so new that most people don't even know they exist yet. These are the tools that are going to separate the genealogy research who are just dabbling with AI from those who are using it to supercharge their family history work. Canvas is probably my favorite new ChatGPT feature for genealogy work. Think of it as having ChatGPT sitting right next to you, looking at the same document, able to make edits and suggestions in real time. Here's how this works for genealogy. Let's say you're writing a biography of your great-grandfather. Instead of the old copy and paste dance between ChatGPT and Word, you can now work directly in Canvas. You start with a basic timeline, and ChatGPT can help you expand it into a full narrative right there in the same workspace. But here's where it gets really cool. Canvas has shortcuts specifically for writing projects. You can highlight a paragraph and click Adjust Length to make it shorter or longer. You can click Change Reading Level to make something more accessible for younger family members. There's even an Add Emojis button, which sounds silly, but it's actually great for social media posts about your ancestors. Canvas is also fantastic for transcribing old documents. You can upload an image of a handwritten letter or diary entry, ask ChatGPT to transcribe it, and then work together to clean up and verify the transcription. You can highlight unclear words and ask for alternative interpretations, or have ChatGPT explain archaic terms or phrases. Now let's talk about deep research. This is where ChatGPT becomes almost like having a research assistant who works all night for you. When you use deep research, ChatGPT spends anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes systematically searching the web and creating comprehensive reports on whatever you're researching. For genealogy, this is incredibly powerful. You might ask for a deep research report on, quote, German immigration patterns to Pennsylvania in the 1880s, specifically focusing on economic factors and settlement communities, end quote. ChatGPT will spend time finding multiple sources, synthesizing the information, and creating a detailed report with citations. What I love about deep research is that it asks clarifying questions. If you ask about your Heinrich Müller research, it might ask, quote, are you looking for general information about German immigration or specific resources for tracing individuals? Would you like me to focus on Pennsylvania records or include surrounding states? End quote. And now for the newest feature, ChatGPT Pulse, which literally launched last week. This is where ChatGPT starts to feel like having a personal research assistant who anticipates your needs. Pulse runs in the background and delivers personalized updates based on your research interests and chat history. For genealogists, this could mean waking up to find that ChatGPT has researched new digitization projects that might affect your family lines or discovered new resources related to the time periods and locations you're researching. You can tell Pulse what you want to stay updated on. For example, quote, keep me informed about new genealogy databases and record collections, particularly anything related to German immigration or Pennsylvania Dutch communities, end quote. Each morning, you'll get a personalized briefing with relevant updates. Pulse can also connect with your calendar and email, which creates some interesting possibilities for genealogy research. It might remind you about genealogy society meetings, suggest research tasks based on your schedule, or help you organize research trips. Let me share some advanced prompting techniques that can really enhance your genealogy work. Chain of thought prompting. Instead of asking one big question, break your research into steps. Quote, first, help me understand the historical context of German immigration in the 1880s. Then, based on that context, suggest specific record types I should search. Finally, help me create search strategies for each record type, end quote. Role-based prompting. Ask ChatGPT to take on specific expertise roles. Quote, act as a professional genealogist specializing in German American research. I've found these 3 documents. Help me develop a research plan to verify family connections, end quote. Verification prompting. Always ask ChatGPT to help you verify information. Quote, I found this information in my research. What primary sources should I check to verify these facts? What are the potential weaknesses in this evidence? End quote. All right, let's put all of this into practice. Your homework assignment for this week is going to get you hands-on experience with ChatGPT's genealogy capabilities, starting simple and building up to more advanced techniques. First, if you haven't already, create a free ChatGPT account and try these 3 prompts. Number 1, pick an ancestor's occupation from a census record and ask, quote, my ancestor was listed as a occupation in year. Explain what this job involved and suggest what other records might mention this occupation, end quote. Number 2, choose a family migration story and ask, quote, my family moved from place to place around year. Help me create a research strategy to trace this migration using available records, end quote. And number 3, take a family story you've heard and ask, quote, I have a family story that, brief description, What records should I search to verify or learn more about this story? End quote. If you're feeling adventurous, try setting up custom instructions for genealogy and creating your first project. Upload one document and have a conversation with ChatGPT about what it tells you. I want to try something new this week. Use ChatGPT to help you with your genealogy research and then share your experience. What worked? What didn't? What surprised you? Email me your stories or come join us over in our Facebook group, Ancestors and Algorithms, AI for Genealogy. We just reached 200 members and I'm excited for what we're building over there. I'd love to feature some of these stories in future episodes. And here's a special challenge. See if you can use ChatGPT to help solve someone else's brick wall. Join one of those other Facebook genealogy groups, or you can do it in ours too. Find someone who's stuck and see if ChatGPT can help you brainstorm research strategies to share with them. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. From basic prompting techniques to brand new features like Pulse that most people don't even know exist yet. The key takeaway I want you to remember is that ChatGPT is incredibly powerful for genealogy work, but only when you understand how to use it as a thinking partner rather than a fact-finding service. Next week, we're diving into Claude, and I'm going to show you why Claude has become my go-to AI for document analysis and complex research problems. Plus, I'll share the prompting technique that helped me finally break through a brick wall that had been stumping me for 3 years. Until then, remember, your ancestors' stories are waiting to be discovered. And now you've got an AI research partner to help you find them. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you next week on Ancestors and Algorithms.